Hello ladies and gentlemen, Reginald Scott here and welcome to this video. Now today I've got a question for you. What makes a bike fast? Do you think you know? Do you think the people out there in the sales world of bicycles, people who've been selling you parts the last few years, do they know what makes a bike fast? Have you bought a really fast bike? Got two bikes behind me here today. I'll let you decide which you think is the faster bike. So here, this old one, 10 years old, aluminium frame, part carbon, forks and back triangle, 23mm tyres on a set of aluminium clincher wheels, standard crankset, and it's not an aerodynamic frame, just a bog standard frame as it was made 10 years ago. Behind it we have this bike. This is a full carbon bike. It's an aerodynamic frame, it's got carbon clincher wheel set, 25mm tyres, compact carbon crankset, and is rather lightweight. So this bike here actually only weighs 7 kg. And this bike weighs over 10 kilograms. It's close to 11 when it's fully laden on my way to work usually. And when I had my padlock on it and everything else, it would be 11. But just over, let's say just over 10 kg to make things easy. So we have a 10 kg aluminium bike versus a 7 kg carbon fiber bike. One is aerodynamic, one is not. One has 25mm tyres on it, one has 23s, which have fallen out of favour among the people in the Pro Tour as being not as aerodynamic with a carbon clincher wheel set, or carbon wheel set, sorry, and not being as fast rolling because of the contact patch. And the other one has 25s on there with its carbon clincher wheel set. So, which one's the faster bike? Well, if you'd have asked me a few months ago, I would have said, well, clearly the carbon fiber one. The one that weighs less, got a compact crankset for going up steep hills, it's aerodynamic, it's got the correct tyres on it that are supposed to be better, it's got lightweight wheels. That's going to be the faster bike. I mean, this bike was £3,500 and this bike was only £1,500, so this is £2,000 more expensive. It has to be the faster bike, doesn't it? Well, the other day I had a look at Strava and a couple of things have been shocking me on Strava over the last few weeks. This frame has a problem. I can't ride this bike at the moment, so I'd switched to my older bike. And for the few months previously, I've been trying to set all my best times on Strava on this carbon fiber bike here. I've done sprints on this bike, sprint sections, and I've done hilly sections on this bike. And all my best times were on this bike. I got onto my old bike, 3 kilograms heavier, non-aerodynamic, wrong set of tyres, standard crankset, and I've broken all my best times, every single one of them, by a significant margin. Even the sprint section, which I thought I would never surpass, I beat on an aluminium heavier bike that's less aerodynamic. Now, I pose the question again. What makes a bike fast? I mean, you could say, well, it's the standard crankset. It's clearly the standard crankset because on a sprint section, you obviously want to push a bigger gear, don't you? So clearly the standard crankset gave you the advantage on that sprint section. But how am I better at hill climbing on this bike? I mean, I beat my hill climbing times on this bike. This bike over here, the newer bike, is 3 kilograms lighter and has more gears, and it was beaten by a heavier bike with less choice of gears. I mean, this is a 10 speed, okay, and it's a standard crankset, and it's £2,000 cheaper than this bike, and I'm faster on this one. And honestly, I've been looking at all the results, I've been looking at all the data, I've been timing myself on my computer, going out, doing routes, and I'm faster every single time. And something I've noticed as well, I'd only basically been riding this bike full time here in Brunei, and there were certain corners coming down hills, and I know how I take those corners on this bike, and I knew that I'd been braking because I didn't have the control coming around those corners. On this bike, I've not been braking because it just seems to take the corners better. So what's my conclusion? My conclusion is that this frame, this carbon frame, doesn't handle as well as this aluminium one. My conclusion is that I'm more comfortable on the aluminium frame. My conclusion is that I'm less fatigued on the aluminium frame because it's more comfortable, and that's what's making me faster. That's the only explanation I can come up with at the moment. If you've got any other explanation, or you can tell me why it is that I'm so much faster on this aluminium bike than I am on the carbon bike, please pop it in the comments below, because that's quite a radical thing, isn't it? You know, we're going out and spending thousands of pounds on cycling equipment to make ourselves faster and better riders, and I've just found out that the bike I've had for the last 10 years and cost me £2,000 less than this one is better. That's a big shock. That's a big shock. And I wouldn't have found out had something not gone wrong with this. And part of the reason why something went wrong with this is because it's carbon fibre and not aluminium. So there you go. Big shock there. I'm actually faster on the older, heavier bike with the standard crankset and the 23mm tyres, not the 25mm tyres. So perhaps we've all fallen for a bit of marketing, or maybe certainly I have, and we need to reassess what we choose the next time we choose a bike. And I think the best advice I can give to new riders is, if you feel bad because everyone in your cycling club has a fancy schmancy bike that costs £10,000 and you're riding a cheap Decathlon bike that costs 300 quid, don't worry about it, because it's not about the bike so much as it is about the rider, firstly. And secondly, as long as you're comfortable on that bike, as long as you like the saddle and you like the way the bike handles, it doesn't matter that it doesn't cost a lot of money, because you'll be less fatigued, you'll be more relaxed, and you'll ride better. And you never know, you might even beat those people on their fancy bikes, and that'll really put their noses out, because it happened to me a few years back when I was riding in a club in the UK. I actually got the drop on someone on a bike that was worth £10,000 on this aluminium bike, and they complained that the reason why they'd lost is because my bike was heavier, so I had an advantage coming downhill. You know, people will make up really bad excuses for not being as fit as me or not being as fit as you. So, firstly, work on yourself, lose weight. That's a great way to save money on the bike. It costs you thousands of pounds to lose a few grams on a bike, but it doesn't cost you anything to lose weight on your body. Get comfortable on the bike, make sure it's a bike you're comfortable with, and do the training, and you will become fast. It's not about the bike, it's about you. Okay, thanks for watching, folks, and I hope that was interesting for you. Stay safe, as always. Reginald Scott, saying goodbye.